हेलो दोस्तों, वेलकम है आप सभी का न्यू वीडियो में। आज की वीडियो में मैं आपको बताने वाला हूं बेल UH-1 आयरोक्विस के बारे में। वीडियो को स्टार्ट करने से पहले आप तमाम व्यूअर से रिक्वेस्ट है कि चैनल पर नए आए हैं और अभी तक चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो जल्दी से सब्सक्राइब कर दें और बेल नोटिफिकेशन के बटन को प्रेस कर दें ताकि आपको तमाम नई आने वाली वीडियोस का नोटिफिकेशन मिलता रहे। बढ़ते हैं वीडियो की तरफ। द बेल UH-1 Iroquois, nicknamed Huey, is a utility military helicopter designed and produced by the American aerospace company Bell Helicopter. It is the first member of the prolific Huey family, as well as the first turbine-powered helicopter in service with the United States military. Development of the Iroquois started in the early 1950s, a major impetus being a requirement issued by the United States Army for a new medical evacuation and utility helicopter. The Bell 204, first flown on 20 October 1956, was warmly received, particularly for the performance of its single turboshaft engine over piston engine powered counterparts. An initial production contract for 100 HU-1As was issued in March 1960 in response to criticisms over the rotorcraft's power. Bell quickly developed multiple models furnished with more powerful engines. In comparison to the prototypes Lycoming YT53L1 engine producing 700 shp 520 kilowatt by 1966, the Lycoming T53L13 capable of 1000 kilowatt was being installed on some models. A stretched version of the Iroquois, first flown during August 1961, was also produced in response to Army demands for a version that could accommodate more troops. Further modifications would include the use of all aluminum construction, the adoption of a rotor brake, and alternative power plants. The Iroquois was issued first used in combat operations during the Vietnam War, the first examples being deployed in March 1962. It was used for various purposes: conducting general support, air assault, cargo transport, aeromedical evacuation, search and rescue, electronic warfare, and ground attack missions. Armed Iroquois gunships carried a variety of weapons, including rockets, grenade launchers, and machine guns, and were often modified in the field to suit specific operations. The United States Air Force was deployed. The United States Air Force also deployed its Iroquois to Vietnam, using them to conduct reconnaissance operations, psychological warfare, and other support roles. Other nations' armed air services, such as the Royal Australian Air Force, also dispatched their own Iroquois to Vietnam. In total, around 7,000 Iroquois were deployed in the Vietnam theater, over 3,300 of which were believed to be destroyed. Various other conflicts have been combat deployments of the Iroquois, such as the Rhodesian Bush War, Falklands War, war in Afghanistan, and the 2007 Lebanon conflict. The Iroquois was originally designated HU-1, hence the Hui nickname, which has remained in common use despite the official redesignation to UH-1 in 1962. Various derivatives and developments of the Iroquois were produced: a dedicated attack helicopter, the Bell AH-1 Cobra, was derived from the UH-1 and retained a high degree of commonality. The Bell 204 and 205 are Iroquois versions developed for the civilian market in response to demands from some customers. A twin-engined model, the UH-1 and Twin Huey, was also developed during the late 1960s, was also developed during the early 21st century. In US Army service, the Iroquois was gradually phased out following the introduction of the Sikorsky UH-60 Black Hawk and the Eurocopter UH-72 Lakota. Although hundreds were still in use more than 50 years following the type's introduction, in excess of 60,000 Iroquois have been built since 1960. Now, furthermore, I want to tell you about its development. In 1952, the US Army identified a requirement for a new helicopter to serve as medical evacuation, instrument trainer, and general utility aircraft. The Army determined that current helicopters were too large, underpowered, or too complex to maintain easily. During November 1953, revised military requirements were submitted to the Department of the Army. 20 companies submitted designs in their bid of the contract, including Bell Helicopter with the Model 204 and Kaman aircraft with a turbine-powered version of the H-43. On 23rd February 1955, the Army announced its decision, selecting Bell to build three copies of the Model 204 for evaluation with the designation HX-40। सो दोस्तों, यहाँ पे मैं वीडियो को एंड करता हूँ। उम्मीद करता हूँ आपको वीडियो पसंद आई होगी। पसंद आई हो तो लाइक करें, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा दोस्तों के साथ शेयर करें और कमेंट सेक्शन में कमेंट करें। मिलते हैं ऐसे किसी नेक्स्ट वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए अपना ख्याल रखें। मुझे दें इजाज़त। अल्लाह हाफिज़।